Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Mystical Visions. So, today we're going to take a look at a topical reading because today we're diving into some messages for you for this Mercury retrograde. Now, if you didn't know, Mercury is retrograde until April 25th, I believe, so from April 1st to 25th, and this is the first Mercury retrograde of the year. So, I think it is. I think I read somewhere that it is the first Mercury retrograde. But in either case, today I wanted to dive into some messages that your guides might have for you, that the universe might have for you regarding this Mercury retrograde, because it's going to span a fair bit of time. So we'll take a look at what lessons you are learning during this retrograde, because retrogrades tend to bring that kind of thing. And we'll take a look at some advice. This is not going to be a super long reading, but hopefully it will be concise and still effective. So I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your piles. We've got pile number 1, which is this amethyst. For pile 2, we have a sodalite. And for pile number 3, we have a carnelian. So I'll give you some time to look at these piles, see which one calls to you. Timestamps are in the description. Like and comment if this resonates. Subscribe to my channel for more readings. And I'll see you guys at your reading. Pile number 1, hello, welcome to your reading about this Mercury retrograde. So if you picked this amethyst crystal, then this is your reading. You're in the right place. Hello. So the way I've gone ahead and shuffled these is we have 3 cards and 3 clarifiers for the overall message and the overall lesson that you're learning in this Mercury retrograde, where we'll dive into all of the details, all of the things. Okay, that was a loud honk. We're going to dive into all of the details, all of the things that you need to know, all of the things that you are learning in these few weeks. And then we'll take a look at some advice that will get you through this retrograde spick and span. All right, so without much further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm hoping this won't be a super long reading, but we'll see. We have the Lovers in reverse, which is apologies about my disgusting cuticle. Wow, I just had a massive coughing fit. Sorry about that. So with the Lovers in reverse, Mercury is the sign that rules Gemini, which is the card that rules the Lovers. So to have that in reverse, you might be a Gemini sun, moon, rising. You might have heavy Gemini placements, Mercury in Gemini. But it does feel like this retrograde is affecting you quite significantly. With the Lovers in reverse, it almost feels like there is no understanding between you and the world. It's almost like if you were in a relationship with the universe, for instance, right? It's like the universe just does not see eye to eye with you right now. Or that might be the feeling that you're getting at the moment. Because Mercury rules the mind and because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, with the Lovers in reverse, it almost feels like you may come across some quite severe mental blocks. Some communication breakdowns in that you are not able to express your truth, your feelings, the way you'd like to do them. I can't even speak. I had a massive coughing fit. I think you might have some throat chakra issues this retrograde season. But with the Lovers in reverse, it almost feels like no one is an equal for you. It's like no one understands you. No one sees what you see. it might almost feel a little disheartening, I'm going to be honest. But to clarify the Lovers in reverse, we have the Six of Swords in reverse. Another air card. You might have some very strong air placements in your birth chart. So that is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But with the Six of Swords in reverse, the Six of Swords upright. Wow. Okay. The Six of Swords upright talks about moving to calmer waters. So you might find that you're quite strongly surrounded by the energy of conflict as well. Especially when it comes to words, thoughts, and ideas. You might get into like an argument with someone significant, maybe the people you work with, the people you work for, that kind of thing. And it's very mental, it's very psychological, which means it might be that you differ in ideas as opposed to with like physical things, if that makes sense. So it's almost like, say for instance, you have a partner, you and your partner might disagree on something hypothetical or something theoretical. There we go, that's that confirmation horn. As opposed to something that actually physically directly affects your lives. But the issue is, because we are in such a sensitive headspace right now, this can snowball and escalate. So I definitely think the thing to practice is de-escalation, just so it doesn't get to that point of like saying things that we really don't mean, just out of spite, if that makes sense. Your next card is the Six of Pentacles. I'm going to try not to keep my awful thumb in the frame. The Six of Pentacles, generosity. Okay, I think I'm getting a picture here. Okay, you might be the kind of person who does not like to give an inch. When it comes to arguments, when it comes to discussions, you might be someone who does not like to let go. You have to have it your way. You might be quite stubborn like that, I'm going to be honest. And this retrograde might be the season to learn to relent a little, to understand that while you may disagree and while you may even know better than someone else, sometimes it's okay to let go and let someone else win the argument just to keep the peace. It shows a generosity of spirit, a generosity of thought, almost. It's like you know better, but you also know better that you know better. Does that make sense? It's like you understand that you are clearly the person with more knowledge in the situation, but that also means that you understand that someone else is not going to understand what you're trying to say. And so it just makes sense to let go and move on. Does that make sense, part one? So to clarify the Six of Pentacles, we have the Nine of Coins, 2 Earth cards back to back, and then we had 2 Air cards back to back. Interesting. So the Nine of Coins talks about independence, so generosity and independence. You might find that you're happiest isolating for a little bit, because you don't enjoy relenting. It might make you just happier to be by yourself and to just avoid the situation altogether for a little bit. However, look, that's the easy way out. However, when we look at retrogrades, they are put in our path for us to learn and evolve. And so the next step of your evolution might involve... Oh, there's a lot of sixes here. Sorry, I just got distracted. Might involve you learning that maybe your perspective is not the only one that affects your life. Maybe other people's perspectives can make you a better rounded person. Now, whether you take other people's opinions on board or not is entirely up to you. However, it is important for us to understand where people are coming from and understand why they think the way that they do. Because if nothing else, it gives you an insight into human psychology. Because with the Nine of Coins, I'm getting the vibe of like being self-contained, not isolated, but self-contained, in that you have the ability to hold opposing views within yourself and make rational judgments based on being able to see all sides of the argument. This is a very mental energy pile. You might have very strong air placements. You might have very strong Virgo placements as well, because Virgo is another sign that's ruled by Mercury. I can't speak today. The retrograde is so real. Virgo is another sign ruled by Mercury, and it is also an earth sign. So we have some earth placements and some air placements here. Next, we have the King of Wands. Okay, let me guess. This card is going to be a fire card as well, but we'll see. The King of Wands. There is a lot of passion here. But the way I understand the energies of these cards, and I tend to read them intuitively, so bear with me, I find that off the King and the Queen, I find that the Queen is more untamed passion. She's more out there. She's more vibrant. She's loud and proud and, make some noise, that kind of passion. Whereas the King of Wands is extremely passionate, but to me also feels very contained. Does that make sense? So maybe this retrograde, your big lesson is indeed knowing which battles are worth fighting. Because yes, you are a very passionate person, and sometimes that can feel a little lonely because it's like no one understands my depth of passion. But the issue here is you might come off as a little too out there, in the sense of you're very I don't think extroverted is the word, but it's like you give out a lot, but you absorb nothing. And while energetically that keeps you safe, it also means that your mindset gets limited. And I'm not saying you specifically, but just in general, as a human, our collective mindset can be quite limited if we simply put out and put out and put out and never absorb anything at all. Fascinating. Right out the gate, pile one, just straight up bangers, bars upon bars. So to clarify the King of Wands, we have Judgment. That is so wild because this character is also holding a wand. Judgment. I do think this retrograde is a big moment of evolution for you. We are starting and ending this section with Major Arcana. Fascinating. Judgment talks about when the world is at its final leg, and everyone's soul is weighed to see if they can, get into heaven or not. That's like the theological meaning of it. But to me, it kind of makes the Judgment card gives me the vibe of you finally being held accountable, not just for your actions, but also for your purpose, for the reason that you chose to come to this planet for. It's like you can suddenly hear the angels scream your name and be like, how far have you achieved what you set out to do? And so I think your purpose in this life, this reading is not about your purpose, but I do get the vibe that your purpose might have to do with communication. And a lot of communication is a two-way street. Well, most communication is a two-way street if it's healthy. So I do think that you might benefit from taking some time this retrograde season to simply sit down and listen with no judgment, no preconceived notions, no thought of like, okay, I'm listening in order to respond. No, listen in order to understand and see how big a difference that makes to your own mindset. There is so much we can learn from every single person around us, no matter what their age, their social standing, whoever they are. Every single person has lived a very specific set of experiences that we will never have. And so it can be really, really helpful to get every single person's perspective. Now, I'm not saying use every single person's perspective. Oh, okay. I definitely need to ground a little. I'm not saying use every single person's perspective or opinion, but it is important to stay informed. And I think this retrograde is teaching you the art of listening. So let's go ahead and finally take a look at your oracle cards and see what advice the universe has for you in this retrograde season. First, we have Star Family. You're part of a team of souls. Call in support. I think one other way this almost inability to listen, one other way it might affect you is that you might struggle with asking for help. Why? Because a lot of seeking help is receiving help. And you might be, and this is such like air sign behavior, but you might be someone who struggles to sit down in a receptive energy and allow people to do things for you. Right? Air energy is, oh, go out there and do the thing. Whereas earth energy is more, let's sit down and wait for the thing to be done for us. And I do think that might be a big lesson for you through this retrograde, is the idea that maybe if I just sit down for 2 minutes and allow all of the energy to simply soak in. I'm not saying take on other people's energy. I'm saying observe. Soak in the information. And that might make you realize that there was so much out there that you could have been learning this whole time. But because you are so caught in your mind, I need to put out this information. That kind of slipped you by. But the point I was trying to make is call in support. You're part of a team of souls. You might be someone who likes to stay quite independent. And because of this, communication breakdowns can be quite frequent. So this retrograde, it is time to learn the energy of collaboration. And the final piece of advice is you're already doing it. Stop overthinking. Keep facing your true north. What did I say? You're definitely someone who is quite in your head. You're quite mentally occupied. I feel like you might live in your higher chakras a lot, your crown, third eye, throat. And so you might be an overthinker, which might lead you to second guess a lot of your choices as well. But it is important that while you do face your true north and keep at it, also understand that your end goal is not your end goal. Your end goal is the journey towards this milestone. But I want to go ahead and read this from the book. So, you're already doing it. This specific deck of cards is a little They don't number the cards, so it takes a while to find the page. You're already doing it. Do not question things so much. You are on the right track. You are facing the right way. Stop overthinking it. It's happening and you are closer than you think. You are exactly where you need to be and things are moving at the perfect speed. Do not rush it. If a thought that things should be moving faster enters your head, that is just your ego comparing your rising to someone else. Comparison is not your friend. Stay in your lane, water your own garden, knowing that your time to bloom will come soon. You're already doing it. Keep going. So that was your quick little message for this Mercury retrograde, pile number 1. I hope this resonated. If it did, please do remember to like and comment below. Subscribe to my channel for more readings. Come say hello on Instagram. I have a link down below. Stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel. And thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy with me and letting me read for you today. I really hope this was helpful. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 2. Hello, welcome to your reading about messages for this Mercury retrograde. So if you picked this blue sodalite crystal, then welcome. This is your reading. So the way I've gone ahead and shuffled these piles is that these first few cards, I've gone ahead and shuffled 3 tarot cards and 3 clarifier tarot cards. And those are going to tell us the overall messages and especially the overall lessons for you this retrograde season, things that you should watch out for, things where you are evolving. And then these 2 oracle cards will give us a bit of advice for you this retrograde season. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This isn't going to be a super long reading, so hopefully you get the message across anyway. So the first we have the High Priestess in reverse. You might be feeling very spiritually blocked. You might be someone who gets your spiritual insights clairaudiently or prophetically, as in they come to you as messages as opposed to images or feelings. Because Mercury is all about communication, to have it retrograde might mess your communication devices up a lot. And one big communication device is our intuition. So to see the High Priestess in reverse, you might be feeling a little cut off from wisdom, from the universe, from whatever source you believe in that brings you your usual intuitive hits. And that may be why you're looking at this reading in the first place. I'm getting the feeling that a lot of you guys have your own tarot decks and you do your own readings, and lately it's just not been working. And so you're looking for other people to do readings for you, which is great. Hello, welcome. But I do get the feeling that you kind of feel a little spiritually blocked this retrograde season. It's like you want to look inside, but either there is like an actual like crown chakra block or a third eye block, or it's just that the world around you is so chaotic and so demanding of your energy right now that you simply have no time to go inwards. But let's see, to clarify the High Priestess in reverse, we have the Emperor also in reverse. 2 major arcana, 2 separate decks, both in reverse. Interesting. This is definitely a significant retrograde season for you. Okay, what's interesting is that the High Priestess is Pisces and the Emperor is Aries. It is that the signs are like one after the other. Even though when we lay them out, they're like opposite ends of the zodiac. They are also right next to each other chronologically. And I think you may have... This for you may have started in Pisces season. You may have felt, oh, are we entering? Yeah, we are. Yeah, well, okay, sorry, I fully lost track of what day it was. Sorry, my communication has been a little wild. I just finished Power One before this, and the words are not happening for me, so bear with me. But yeah, we're in Aries season now, but you may have started to feel this towards like the tail end of Pisces season, even that your intuition is starting to slow down. You're not getting the messages that you want, or you simply don't have the time to sit with yourself and do your spiritual practice. And because of that, you kind of feel a little lost, a little unmotivated. Let me just fix this. There we go. Now you can see the cards. You might be feeling a little unmotivated, a little like you may see yourself as a spiritual leader in your home or your community. And because of this retrograde energy, because of this reversal energy, it almost feels like you have a fear of letting people down. And that might be your big concern right now. Is this, and you may not even realize it because you haven't had the time, or you haven't been able to go inwards and, take stock of what's going on. There might be this deep-seated fear that, now that I'm mentioning it, it might hit you like a ton of bricks, that you have this deep-seated fear of not being that spiritual leader, of not being good enough for people. But the thing to remember is no one can be at a 100% all the time. It's just not possible, And I do think you have some very, very, very high expectations of yourself, even if you may not have those of other people. This retrograde season is going to force you to reconsider what it means to be human, to be flawed with human problems, and to have human limitations. We can't always live in the spiritual realm, because if that was what we were meant to do, we just would not come to this planet, right? And so this retrograde might be a very humanizing experience for you, where you are kind of thrown into the physical world. Interesting. So next we have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Lots of reversals for you. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. The Ace of Pentacles upright usually talks about a new investment opportunity, someone being willing and happy to invest in you, things like that. Almost like a nod from the universe that you're on the right track. But to have it in reverse kind of makes me think that you might be reconsidering where you invest your time and energy and money even. This retrograde season might bring out some truths that you did not see coming. And you may be forced to kind of switch tracks a little bit. I don't know what context this is in. In my mind, I'm thinking invested in a business, turned out they were defrauding their investors. You take your money out, sorted. But that's like an extreme example, right? You might find that you're investing your energy into energy sinkholes, where you're being drained for no reward. You might have taken up hobbies, you might have taken up skills that you think you should know. You think they will make you better at doing what you do, and that's the only reason you took them, not because you're interested in them. And then as a result, you find out that not only are you not learning as much as you possibly could, you also hate the entire process. Again, that's another extreme example. But do you get my point? You're finding that there are ways in which you are wasting precious time and energy when it could be utilized doing something far more interesting, far more fun for you, and far more emotionally fulfilling. To clarify the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, we have the Empress in reverse. What is happening? Can we focus? Thank you. And we have the Emperor and Empress. They're a matched pair, but all four of your cards are in reverse. Wow, okay. I think this retrograde is just completely redefining your understanding of what it means to be you. What it means to be you. What it means to be who you are. I think when it comes to your understanding of yourself, you may have formed this self-image very, very early in your life. And you may have found that you're a very fixed person, you like what you like, and that has not changed for several years. And then this retrograde comes in to throw a wrench in all of it. And suddenly you think, who am I? You know, why does none of this stuff fascinate me anymore? None of this stuff that I've spent years collecting and surrounding myself with, why does none of it interest me anymore? And that's because, Pile 2, the universe is throwing something brand new into your path that is better aligned with who you are as a soul. The life that you've lived so far has not just been, exactly how you planned it. It has also been a path of evolution. And you have evolved to a point where none of this supports you anymore. It's like if you were to, when we're babies, we have little baby legs. And then as we grow up, imagine if your legs stayed the same size. Would it be able to hold your weight? Of course not. Try sitting on a baby's lap. You'll learn that real quick. So don't actually sit on people's children. Okay. Anyway, the point is, those foundations that you've built so carefully have supported you well up until this point. But from here on out, you are too grown to rely on them anymore. You need stronger foundations. You need bigger legs. And this retrograde is going to kick off your process of building this new foundation. And it might come with a sense of loss. It might come with some blockages. It might come with big change that you did not anticipate. But that's the beauty of change you do not anticipate. It's that you don't have the time to overthink it. You don't have the time to get anxious or worry about it. You're kind of thrown into it, and thanks to fight or flight, you get through the worst of it, and then you can sit back and think and realize, oh, if I got through the worst of it, I'll be fine. And then you make progress. So if your intuition didn't warn you about this, it was because the universe wanted it that way. Your higher self wanted it that way, because you would spend all your time worrying about it instead of looking forward to this change. So our final tarot cards are the Seven of Cups in reverse. Seven of Cups upright talks about illusion. So to have it in reverse, it's kind of like a shattered illusion. Yeah, I do think your understanding, and also another reversal. Wow. The point is, I think your understanding of who you are is quickly turning into an illusion, because deep down, I think you know that that's not who you are. None of that works for you anymore. You don't feel it anymore. You could be surrounded by the things that you love, that you once loved, and you look at them now and it doesn't do anything for you. And this retrograde is that final shattering of that illusion, which kicks you into gear, which pushes you to make some changes. To clarify, another reversal, the Knight of Cups in reverse. This could also change the relationships that you have. Because a lot of our relationships are built on who we project ourselves to be. Does that make sense? Who we project energetically. That's what attracts people. That's what people resonate with. And then we have friends, we have partners, we have family. However, when we go through radical change like this, when we reconfigure our personality, it then gets to a point where, unless the people that we love also reconfigure, there is a fundamental mismatch. Because if, say, you have a partner that fell in love with this version of you, and they cannot abide by you changing because they've tied all of their love and affection to that version of you as opposed to you as an ever-evolving soul, that relationship is not going to progress unless you force yourself to stay that way, even if you don't want to. And so you might find that a lot of your relationships might fall off. And that's okay, because there's so many more people out there. In fact, there is bound to be other people out there who are truly part of your soul family, who can only come in once you become this higher evolved version of you. And this retrograde, this reconsideration of everything you think you know about yourself is the conduit that will take you to that better version of yourself that can then grow and evolve and build new relationships, build powerful relationships that are flexible enough that they grow and evolve with you. That's not to say your partner is going to break up with you or your parents are going to kick you out or whatever. Not necessarily. It is simply the relationships that cannot evolve with you that you will find falling apart. And if you find them falling apart, understand that those were not meant to stay long term in your life. Okay? So finally, with the Oracle cards, let's take a look at some messages for you. So first we have called Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. This is what I'm saying. It is time to step up and understand that just because life has been this way for this long doesn't mean it has to continue to stay this way, especially if you feel the itch for something new. Soul Gifts and Training. I think up until this point, you've definitely very much been in like a soul training phase where you've been building all these skills of spirituality, communication, an actual craft. I don't know. Whatever you've been working on has definitely been your training phase. But now it's time to let go of the training wheels. It's time to step up and actually use these skills and actually do something with them. And in order to do that, you have to leave your comfort zone. And the next card is Protection. Call back your power. Cut the cords. Soul retrieval. Can we focus? Thank you. You might find that because you are changing and evolving, a lot of people don't resonate with you anymore, and that might cause some conflicts in your life. That might cause some negative energy or just some draining energy in your life. So the advice here is definitely to make sure you protect yourself energetically. But I'm just going to go ahead and read from the book for this. So bear with me. These cards are not numbered, so I don't automatically know where to go. 104. Thank you. I love this deck, but wow, they could have organized it better. Okay. Call back your power, cut the cord, soul retrieval. You're being called to protect your energy and call back your power. May all the lost pieces return home now. Take a look at who and what drains your energy. Do not keep your tabs open. Shut down energetically each night. Your energy and energetic space are sacred, so treat them as such. Can you think of a traumatic event, relationship, or soul memory that you are being called to call back your power from? Check into your body now and see which chakra feels like it needs a bit of an energetic cleanup. Hold the card on the chakra that needs cleansing and repeat the following. So obviously you don't have this card, or maybe you do. But the affirmation here is, I call back any lost soul fragments, power, or light now. Any vows, soul contracts, hexes, or programs from the past or present, from this life or others that are not in the highest good of all, I relinquish now. Any power or light that I have willingly or unwillingly given away or had taken from me, I call back now. Any cords or attachments from this life or others, I release now for the highest good of all. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. So that is your retrograde message, pile number 2. I really hope this resonated. And if it did, then please remember to like and comment below. Let me know. Subscribe to my channel for more readings because I put a new one out every single week, as well as some mini readings across the week. Yeah, thank you so much for spending some time and sharing your energy with me today. I really hope this helped. Stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 3. Hello, welcome to your reading about messages for this Mercury retrograde that we're currently in. So if you picked this carnelian stone, then welcome, you're in the right place. This is your message. I've gone ahead and pre-shuffle the cards. So for the tarot cards, we have 3 main cards and 3 clarifiers, which will tell us all about what's going on in this retrograde, what messages there are for you, what you might be going through, and more importantly, the lessons that this retrograde is teaching you, because retrogrades always teach us lessons. And then with the 2 oracle cards, we'll take a look at some advice for you to help you get through this with minimal damage. So let's go ahead and get started. Your first card is the Moon. There is a lot of hidden emotion. You might find that this time is very shadowy. It's like you're not getting any answers. You're not understanding what's going on. You might also be very, very emotionally reactive or sensitive. You might have heavy Cancer placements, but generally speaking, the Moon talks about it's dark out, there's barely any light, so you can kind of see that there's something, but you don't really understand what's happening with perfect clarity. And that might be bothering you a little bit. You might be someone who needs like the utmost clarity. Like you don't do gray areas. You like your information to be spoken of or to be relayed with as much clarity as possible. And that might be really bothering you this retrograde season, because Mercury is the planet of communication, and so when it's in retrograde, it can often come with communication breakdowns. So that might have an emotional impact on you. You might be facing communication breakdowns with the people that you love, and that might be causing you a lot of emotional discomfort because you kind of don't know where you stand with them. But let's see what the clarifier is. We have Temperance, 2 major arcana. A lot of these readings are very major arcana heavy today. Temperance talks about dynamic balance. It is also the Sagittarius card. And this is the Cancer card. They are not sister signs. No, they're not. Cancer is Capricorn. Okay. with temperance, talking about dynamic balance, it's about finding stability in the chaos. You might be someone who doesn't enjoy chaos very much, but with the moon energy here, the moon controls the tides. It is ever shifting. The phases of the moon change every single day. It is the fastest moving planet in astrology. So to have it here kind of tells me that this retrograde might be teaching you to become okay with change, to become okay with things not being slow and steady and in control. I think you might operate in a very black and white type mindset for the most part. And with this retrograde, everything is a gray area. Traditionally, the Temperance card is seen as an angel with two cups, and they're pouring water from one cup to the other. And it's all about the in-between stage of that water going between the two cups. It's not about whether it lands in one cup or the other. It's about the fact that it's able to travel through space like this. And you might find that once this retrograde is, at an end, you might find that you come away from it much more comfortable with appreciating the journey rather than just the destination, if that makes sense. So the next card we have is the Six of Cups. Oh, classic retrograde energy, you guys. People from your past might be coming back. Be careful now. There is a lot of memes out there about retrogrades being the season when your ex hits you up at 3 a.m. again. But it doesn't feel malicious. This might just be friends and family from your past coming back, or an ex that you ended things with on good terms. But there might be people coming back from your past, and that may be the gray area, because you're kind of torn between whether to let them back into your life or to keep a distance. And that might be causing you strife. That might be causing you emotional discomfort here, because you don't understand how to feel about the situation. There may well be people coming back that you didn't end things on a good note with. And then you're a bit like, well, where do we go from here? What do they want from me? What do they expect? And they might not be giving you clarity. There may not be any answers as to like, oh, this is why I'm back. I missed you. I thought of you. None of that. It might just be, hey, what's up? And then you're a bit like, yeah, what do you want? And there's nothing coming from them. It's just, let's pretend we've never fallen out. But to clarify the Six of Cups, we have the Two of Cups. Okay, I have good news for some of you, but also kind of news for the rest of you. With the Two of Cups, it usually talks about your partner, the person you love, like in a romantic sense, your perfect match. So for some of you, this could be that an old relationship that you kind of had to part ways, not because you wanted to or they wanted to, but because of circumstances. And this retrograde might bring them back into your life so you can give it another shot. And you might end up being with this person long term. For others of you, this might just be a random ex coming back. And you may give it another shot, you may not. It's very unclear how that will go. But in either case, I do think you'll... Whoa, that was loud. Okay, in either case, I do think you'll have a lot of people coming back into your life that had kind of disappeared or ghosted, or that you had just kind of lost track with, and they'll come back. I do think there's a lot of like emotional uncertainty. I've said that a million times already, but it's kind of starting to feel like the overall theme of this reading today is that emotional uncertainty. Especially with this Two of Cups. Two of Cups usually gives me like strong soulmate type energy. It could be soul family type energy. So people that you kind of lost track of coming back, and then you kind of realize that you are both finally evolved enough to be able to complete a joint mission together. That could be one thing. It could be about having another opportunity with these people, but this time learning to set boundaries. I don't know, this card gives me boundaries. It's like balance, dynamic balance. Like, I'm not going to cut you off entirely, but also I understand where we stand now. That kind of thing. In either case, I think you are juggling a lot. And since all of these are like water cards, it does feel quite emotional. Yeah, I think you're juggling a lot emotionally in this retrograde season. But it could also be a month that teaches you emotional resilience. What does that mean? It means understanding that if I let someone in and they break my heart, that's fine. I'll be fine. If I let someone in and they don't break my heart, that's fine. I'll be fine. The point is, my emotional well-being does not depend on how someone else treats me. Now, that is obviously an idealistic understanding of emotional resilience. We are human. We don't necessarily fully process emotions like that. And that's okay. But that's kind of the goal to work towards, is I'm good whether or not you're in my life. If you're in my life and you're adding value to it, great. If you leave my life because you're taking away value from it, also great. I'm good. You know, that's kind of the goal. And I think this retrograde is kind of setting you on the path towards that goal. I think you may have evolved, you know, mentally, psychologically, physically, all of that. And now it's time for the emotional evolution. Oh, you don't even have to have done any of that, but it is time for emotional evolution. I think this retrograde will bring you a lot of maturity. Not necessarily trying to say that, oh, it was 11:11 when I just looked up. Not trying to say that, you know, you're emotionally immature or you treat people badly or anything like that. But it's more that emotional maturity towards yourself. We have all the compassion in the world to give other people. We have all the love, all the unconditional warmth and comfort to give the people that we love. But how much of that do we give ourselves? We tend to kind of withhold that from ourselves when we don't perform the way we think we should have, or when things don't go the way we hoped they would. And because of this, we tend to kind of form an emotionally immature relationship with ourselves. And this retrograde might be kind of a turning point for you in that regard. It might push you towards recalibrating that relationship with yourself. How sweet. Okay, final tarot cards. We have the Knight of Wands in reverse. You might feel exhausted from all of this, I'm going to be honest. Pile 3. You might feel emotionally drained, and that's perfectly fine. You might find that even though all these people are coming back into your life, you don't necessarily have the passion to reconnect or anything like that, and that's okay. You don't have to force yourself into connections with these people. It's fine. If they're meant to be in your life, they'll circle right back. It's okay. But the point is, you might feel quite low energy. You might feel like you don't have much more to give. Your cup is kind of running low a little bit. And there's suddenly all these people demanding your energy. But also, you might be learning emotional sovereignty, which is a big theme. Big theme here. You might be learning that it's okay to not be able to perform. I do think you might be someone who sees your self-worth as a function of how well you can perform for other people. And look, I'm the same way, right? It's just something you have to work on. But you might be forced into a situation where you physically have no energy left. And because of that, you're kind of forced to take time and space for yourself. And then you kind of work on, you grapple with that fear of, okay, but what if people think this is bad? What if people think I'm being selfish or rude or self-absorbed for taking time because I need to rest? And then from that evolves into, okay, but is any of that true? Does it make me selfish for wanting rest? No, of course not. Which means, which are the relationships in my life that truly do resent me for taking time for myself? And then that evolves into, okay, maybe it's not me. Maybe I'm not the issue here. Maybe I deserve rest. Maybe I deserve space and boundaries and all of that. And, that's kind of like the progression of emotional development that you might go through this month. And to clarify, the Knight of Wands in reverse is the Ace of Cups in reverse. Okay, here's the thing. I think a lot of you might be so emotionally kind of in a gray area right now that you're kind of hoping that someone will come in like a complete stranger and sweep you off your feet and take you away from all of this. However, let me tell you one thing, and you're going to hate me for saying the first part, but stick around. I don't think anyone new is coming into your life, but that's actually so that you can do all of this. When you meet someone new and you start talking to someone new and it kind of takes you away from yourself for like the honeymoon period, you get so into each other, into discovering each other, and you're learning to, find a rhythm with this other person. And that takes so much time. It takes so much time out of your day. And it's wonderful. It's a beautiful feeling. But it does mean that you can kind of find you have way less time for yourself. And for all this healing that you're about to do, that you are embarking on right now, time is precious. And so throwing a new love interest or a new friend or a new emotional connection in your path would cause you to push this for another retrograde. And it's pointless because then you're just going to repeat the same cycles of, not having boundaries, not having balance, not giving yourself time and space and privacy and whatever you need. So instead, why not allow yourself to do this healing instead of lamenting the fact that no one new is coming in? Allowing yourself to go through this to build a sense of self-worth and self-love and emotional sovereignty. And then once you've evolved to that stage, you can actually draw in relationships that are balanced, that give you that space and time right from the get-go, that allow you the grace of needing a break, of needing rest, that kind of thing. Interesting. Okay, let's take a look at your oracle cards for some advice. First, we have portal. Doors are opening. You decide. Rewards. Wild card. I do think this retrograde will almost feel like you step through a portal into a whole new version of yourself where you are in charge. It's the wild card that's tripping me up because it almost feels like this is not compulsory. No one's forcing you to deal with this. You can very well, go out there and force a new relationship, force new people into your life. And it's like no one can push you into doing any of this healing work. But if you take the time for yourself, you'll find that the rewards are exponentially bigger than anything you could have had instead of doing this healing work. So you could come out of this retrograde either evolved or same old, same old. It's not like it's going to damage you in any way, but there is definitely a strong urge here for you to learn these things while you're still in sandbox mode, because then you can go out there into the world and assess relationships before you let them into your life. Assess people before you open yourself up to them, and then have them leave and then try and come back later during another retrograde. But the point is, it is all up to you. And our final card today is Keepers of the Earth. You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. This can feel a little lonely, this healing process, especially because it has so much to do with relationships and connections. It can feel a little lonely in that you don't have the capacity for other people. Even though you want people around, you don't have the emotional capacity to let them in. And then not that you need people, but when you need a little bit of comfort, it might feel like there's no one there, which is not true. I'm sure you're surrounded by people who love you unconditionally. Not these people, just general people who are always around. But it can still feel quite isolating, especially if you're like one of the few people in your area, in your community that does this sort of healing work. It can feel quite isolating. But that is when we turn to our spirit guides. That's when we turn to the higher realms. Because there is so much energy around us. There are so many spirits around us, so many souls. I'm not trying to spook you. Just understand that there are so many, let's just say so many energies around you at all times. All you have to do is tap into them and invite them to be with you and to support you through this, especially your higher self, especially your spirit guides. But let me go ahead and read this from the book, because I've been doing that for the other piles. Keepers of the Earth. Where are you? Keepers of the Earth, page 100. Interesting. Okay. Keepers of the Earth, you are so supported. You do not stand alone. You have a magnificent team of helpers, both in this world and of the earth, who are here to help you every step of the way. Call upon them for assistance. They are here to help. It is time to increase your capacity to receive support in the physical realm. This can come in the form of financial abundance, acts of service from strangers, or people flocking to help you in your work. The only thing that is stopping you right now is your capacity to receive support. You deserve to be rewarded for the work that you are doing. You do not need to go at it alone. What kind of support do you need? Call it in right away. Hold the card on your heart and say, now you don't have to hold the card in your heart, but this is kind of the affirmation. I am open to receiving a whole new level of support for my life and my work, and I call it in now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that was your Mercury Retrograde reading, pile number 3. I really hope it resonated and it brought you some clarity that you so desperately need and some support and strength. If this did resonate, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below, let me know. Thank you so much for spending some time and sharing your energy with me and allowing me to read for you today. I really hope it helped. Stick around to the end of this video, to the outro, for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.